Howdy, I heard you like videos. If you're not already watching on YouTube, you should toddle on over to YouTube and you should subscribe to Post-Mortem Video, all one word, and you should click subscribe, and you should click the little bell, and you should select all when you click the little bell, and whatever other hoops that YouTube now has you jump through in order to actually be subscribed. Basically, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am bored of drama, but nonetheless, here we are facing yet more drama. There's a couple of things that I feel I ought to address, or things that seem to be, at least, particularly within my wheelhouse, shall we say. And the first bit of drama is around new TSR, or Wonderfilled, or whatever it is that they're calling themselves these days. Let's stick with new TSR, so there's no mistake about who I'm talking about. Someone seemingly associated with new TSR just doxed Tenkar of Tenkar's Tavern, who does some interesting discussions now and then. This is unacceptable. Doxing puts people at risk in their real lives. Tenkar's kind of brushed it off, but it is an actually serious thing. That's sort of the line where you move beyond trolling, which is mostly harmless, into something that can potentially cause someone problems in their real life. You know, having had stuff sent to me, and having had people go after me in my real life, doxing, pretty serious. Unacceptable. And if you engage in something like that, then you instantly lose the moral high ground. Now, I got a lot of flack for sticking up for new TSR, and Ernie Gygax in particular, you know, to the point of burning a few bridges. And some people have come back to me and gone, you see, they're all assholes. But I don't really have any regrets about what I did. Why? Because it wasn't about what new TSR were doing, it was about what their critics were doing. They weren't given a chance to do anything at all. People took a insanely hypercritical stance on anything that anybody associated with the company said or did, finding ways to cast it as racist, or all the usual things that dishonest actors accuse people of being. Right? But what really angered me and made me do what I did was that aspersions were thrown at Gary in front of his sons. However much you dislike someone, disparaging their dead father to their face is pretty shitty behaviour, and that was beyond the pale for me, I think. But Tenkar, for all that he is pretty hypercritical of new TSR and all their output or potential output, his criticisms tend to have some kind of grounding. So when he criticises, he's mostly talking about production value or cost or the track record of the company or people associated with it, that sort of thing, or that they're using fake mock-ups of books to try and sell them, the new Star Frontiers knockoff that they're supposedly doing. His criticisms have some kind of grounds, some kind of teeth to them. He's not just pointing and shrieking racist, for the most part, at least not that I've seen. So, real shit, in other words. He's talking about real stuff. So turning around and doxing Tenkar, any doxing is beyond the pale, but doxing Tenkar, who is actually making substantive, meaningful criticism, is a really shitty thing to do. And this kind of bleeds over into the other thing I want to talk about. Twitter blew up over the last couple of days after Cubicle 7 Entertainment announced their new Doctor Who game. They already have a Doctor Who game, but this one is going to be called Doctors and Daleks. And as you can tell by the alliterative name, this is going to be using the Dungeons & Dragons rules, the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons rules. And this has made a lot of people very angry and has been widely regarded as a bad move. But the response to the criticism has been entirely head-ass. Apparently, you're not allowed to criticize system choices now. But criticizing system choice is a substantive, meaningful criticism. 5th edition D&D is arguably not even suited to Dungeons and Dragons, sort of classical modes of play. And it's not a social-oriented game, nor is it a technical-oriented game. Doctor Who stuff tends to be a lot of running away, a lot of social interactions, and a lot of technobabble. None of which are things that 5e is very good at. You know, you get shot by a Dalek, you die. You don't take 2d10 hit points and keep on running. That's not how it works. So on the face of it, even without any other information, 5th edition is not a game system that is suited to Doctor Who's style of play. So people criticising the choice of doing 5e, that's a valid criticism. And regardless what your actual motivations are, it's understandable why this would appear to be a cash grab. You know, D&D is the biggest game in the market. You already have a Doctor Who game, why bring out a second one? Why not promote your existing very good Doctor Who RPG, which I have a copy of? Why not do that? Rather than recreating the game again for a system that does not work in synergy with the setting. So, criticising the use of 5e, as in the new Dark Souls release that's going to be coming along, and in many other instances, including Privateer Press's Iron Kingdoms, which they've gone back to D&D for their new edition, despite having their own game. Cramming all of these unsuitable games into the 5e system just brings to mind the 3rd edition glut, where everything, it seemed like, for a long time, was a D20 system, including games that were manifestly unsuited to using D20 as a system, Call of Cthulhu, for example. But the response has been panic and, oh, you're being unfair and mean and nasty, and acting as if what is actually fairly substantive criticism is unfair or mean or catastrophic to people's mental health or whatever. System matters, so criticising the system choice is valid. And I look at all the people creating a fuss and coming to the defence of Cubicle 7 and the involved designers here, and I compare and contrast that with how people didn't make a big fuss or a song and dance about when myself and others were disingenuously accused of being fascists and so on. That was meaningless criticism with no backing to it whatsoever. This is a meaningful criticism of the work, of the choices, of what seems to be a cynical cash grab. And yet we got pretty much crickets from mainstream gaming, and lots of people seem to be standing up for the designers of Doctors and Daleks. It's personally aggravating and professionally bewildering, the reactions of everyone involved here, really. It's shit. Let's put it that way. And Cubicle 7, they went along with some of the spurious blacklisting that went on against me. Criticising your game choice doesn't have any game system choice, doesn't have any particular directly meaningful impact. Alright? Blacklisting someone and sitting idly by while they're accused of the most horrendous, egregious things, especially when there's no evidence for them, that's something different. And the responses seem reversed, incorrect, and disproportionate when you consider things in that context. Zang.
Do you like t-shirts?
Yeah, boy!
Do you like games?
Certainly.
Are you perhaps a little bit kinky?
Yes, quite.
Then buy one of our B&D t-shirts at Teespring. Teespring.com/stores/postmortem-studios. You want to be cool, don't you?
Does the word duh mean anything to you?